So what's up everyone, my name is the Ripper Danny B and welcome to my TLC prediction show. So the festive season is upon us and as always the WWE is giving us our annual taste of TLC and this year thankfully without the stairs. Tonight I'm going to look at the matches they've already announced for the card and give my predictions, as well as a little bit of recap on the Monday Night Raws leading up to this historic pay-per-view. And we're going to kick off tonight looking at the most recent addition to the card, and that is Ryback versus Rusev in a one-on-one match. Now the build for this has been predictably WWE. They've had a couple of screwy matches, so they're going to settle it Sunday on TLC, and we care why? Seems a bit stupid to put these two together, really. I mean, if you think about it, they are the two monsters of the WWE, right? The 300-pound killers, one side on the heel, one side on the face. So having them clash is kind of ridiculous because it means one has to lose. Ryback is still trying to build a little bit of momentum following the loss to Kevin Owens. He lost the Intercontinental title to Kevin Owens a couple of months ago and he's failed to regain the traction that he had as champion. And of course, Ryback is a McMahon favourite. He's a big guy and he's got some amount of agility to him. Some. So he's going to continuously get pushed. On the other side, Ryback was the monster heel of 2014. And now he's Lana's love interest. Yeah, he also needs some momentum building. He was taken away from a little while from TV because of an injury, and now he's come back. He's joined the League of Nations, more on them later, and he desperately needs a clean-cut win over Ryback. So realistically, they both lose. However, my prediction for the match has to be Rusev going over Ryback just simply because the League of Nations is going to want to open up early on with a lot of momentum on their side. Next I'm going to look at the first gimmick match on my list, the chairs match for the United States Championship between Alberto Del Rio and the real American Jack Swagger. We the people. That's basically my thoughts on this feud. I mean, come on, this should be so good. Do you remember 2013 when these two were feuding over the world title? That had some real heat. Why Seb Coulter? Coulter was on Swagger's side as the real American thing was still the xenophobic heel move, and it was beautiful. As much as we were all slowly getting behind Jack Swagger, we also hated him for the gimmick, and Coulter made that happen. Coulter being with Del Rio was ridiculous. It was a stupid move in the first place. Yes, it had the surprise factor at Hell in a Cell, but it ran its course within a week after that, and the whole Mex America thing was dumb as hell. I'm glad they dropped that in favour of Alberto joining the League of Nations. Because, I mean, does Del Rio really fit in that group though? I mean, you look at the other three, you've got these three massive European men. The Irish Sheamus, the English Barrett, and the Bulgarian Rusev. They're huge men, 260 to 300 pounds. Del Rio kind of just doesn't fit in that mould. He looks like the old one out. But let me get proven wrong. Maybe I'd feel a little better if there was another kind of Western person in there, like a Canadian. But I don't know. As for this match goes, the build has been started and stopped because it was actually originally planned for Survivor Series. Of course, Seth Rollins' injury got in the way of that as Del Rio was entered into the World Title Tournament and made it all the way to the pay-per-view. So it got restarted following Survivor Series. It's failed to pick up a bit of heat, really. I mean, Jack Swagger has been good. He's been the real American hero. But he can't talk, so he's not been able to counteract Del Rio, who is beautiful on that mic when he wants to be. I mean, Del Rio is a watered-down version of Del Rio at the moment. He's boring and almost uninspired. I mean, it turns out some people will come back for the money. Will this match be good? It depends how well they're allowed to work together. They are both very good technical wrestlers. Both got Olympic status, realistically, in their moveset. So it should be a good match. The addition of the chairs kind of takes away from that a little bit, because it's going to turn it into a bit more of a gimmicky match. As for my prediction, I see Alberto Del Rio going over. Again, League of Nations. Also, I don't see him dropping the US title to Swagger, despite the fact that Swagger is the best opponent for him to drop it to, and Swagger needs it more than Del Rio does. But it's just not going to happen, is it? Del Rio is going over in this one. Why? League of Nations. Next we move on to the WWE Divas Championship between Charlotte and Challenger Paige. Now let me preface this one a little bit. Usually when a challenger gets 3 shots in a row, I tend to get a little bit annoyed, because it's just the thought, well, why aren't you just moving on to the next storyline? But I think that's just the WWE conditioning as of late. 3 matches in a row for a challenger was nothing unusual 15 years ago. I, just like many others, have been conditioned to believe in the short-term stories, which is the thing I will complain about the most in WWE. That's the thing you will hear. I hate short-term booking. Most of the stuff I can forgive them for, to a certain extent. But I hate short-term booking. They're giving Charlotte and Paige a chance to build this one properly, and I'm moaning about it. So that's the conditioning that I felt now. But onto the match itself. The first one at Survivor Series ended in controversial fashion, as Charlotte's foot was clearly under the bottom rope. Not just her foot, as Paige pointed out, or was it her hand? Her hand was under the bottom rope. At points during that submission hold, both her breasts and her face were on the rope, so she should have been told to break it ages ago, and she wasn't. Fair play. The next match ended in a double countout. So Charlotte, yeah, she does realistically have to defend the title against Paige again. There's no two ways about that. The X factor in this match has been Becky Lynch. Now Charlotte has been showing more signs of being Flair, being heel, being the dirtiest player in the game. It'll be interesting if they turn Charlotte heel, because then they're running out of faces in the Divas division. Realistically, because nobody likes Brie Bella and Alicia Fox, nobody's going to warm to Nikki when she comes back. If Charlotte turns full heel, that leaves Becky Lynch as the face of the division. It's pure and simple. Team Bad are still supposed to be heels, despite the fact we love them, because Sasha Banks. And Paige is a bona fide tweener right now. She is slipping across the line as much as she needs to for the sake of the storyline, which I like. We haven't seen a good tweener storyline for a while. Usually they just fall flat on their face when they're in the middle, and Paige is carrying it to perfection. She was a nasty ass heel going into Survivor Series, and she's leveled out a bit to play the sweetheart to Becky Lynch for the past month. Becky is going to be the X factor in this one. There's no gimmick attached to this match, so that means if Lynch does get involved, it'll be a disqualification. But I see this as being the final kind of springboard to get Becky Lynch up there, because she's been the one that's kind of been forgotten about during the Divas Revolution. And if that is the case, well done WWE. We need to get Becky Lynch up there, because Becky Lynch is freaking awesome. I love Paige. She's English. So am I. We even share a birthday. Kinship. But you can't base the entire division around Paige. You can't base the entire division around Charlotte. And I know what a lot of you are thinking. Where the hell is Sasha Banks? For anyone who didn't watch my previous video, let me explain this to you again. Give it time. Sasha will get her shot, but if she's overexposed now, she will fall flat by the time Bayley comes up, by the time Nia Jax comes up, by the time she's got some real competition. If Sasha spends each and every week feuding with Becky, with Charlotte, with Paige and Brie Bella, I mean, come on, she's been doing 2 of those for a year in NXT. Paige will get stale quickly, because how much have they really got to hate each other for? And the Bella team, just, yeah, nobody comes out good looking after them. So, give Sasha her chance. Back to the match at hand. I see Charlotte retaining. But I think it's going to be because Becky sides with Charlotte. Lynch is going to be the X Factor. There is no two ways about that. None whatsoever. I'm hoping she sides with Paige. Paige takes the title and we see a Becky Lynch championship match at the Royal Rumble. That would be awesome. I don't see it happening. I think they're going to try and invest a lot into Charlotte at this point. So having Lynch side with her, having both of them turn heel, having Paige turn back to the face side, and then slowly turning Sasha Banks in time for WrestleMania. I think that's where they're going with that one. Of course, it could be completely off the mark. Realistically, I just think they're going to invest in Charlotte. So Charlotte for the win. Next up, we have the match that I'm probably looking forward to the absolute most. The Triple Threat Tag Team Ladder Match for the WWE Tag Team Championship. This one pits the New Day against the Usos against the Lucha Dragons. Now, let me start out by saying this, and I know some of you old school fans are going to hate me for even suggesting this. When I first heard about this match happening, when I first saw it coming together on TV, you know what I thought? This could do WrestleMania 17 standard. That is a lot to ask, obviously. But the Luchas, especially Kalisto, is perfect in that ring. He's the little firecracker. He is phenomenal to watch every time he steps in that ring, and Sin Cara, when he's not messing up, is just as good. On the other side, you've got possibly the best actual tag team in years in the Usos. The natural chemistry between those two is the sort of thing you're used to seeing from Matt and Jeff Hardy. If they can bring that to a ladder match, just imagine those kind of spots, those moments, those forever living time frames. In a time when the WWE desperately needs to restore some faith in its product, this is the chance to do it. This is the X Factor match of the entire card. It's unpredictable. We don't know how this is going to go. Because yes, New Day is hot as all hell right now. But they can afford to lose the Tag Team Championship and still stay the hottest thing on the product. The Luchas could benefit from a Tag Team title reign. The Usos could easily carry those belts into the new year without anybody really complaining about it. Especially as we may or may not see a call-up next year from the Hype Bros or from Enzo and Cass, just to bolster that tag team division again. And I think everything they've got to do now, building up to Mania, is looking towards not only WrestleMania itself, but who they're going to be bringing up from NXT past that. The talent pool in NXT right now is massive. It's huge. I'll be talking a lot more about this in my Takeover London prediction show. But they're incredible down there right now. Everybody on the top level down there, even Baron Corbin. You're going to all hate me for saying that. But even Baron Corbin, I see, could be a massive addition to the roster right now. And because of that, everybody needs to step up their games, and tag teams are always in the worst position. Especially Sin Cara and Kalisto. Because if they don't survive, they'll push Kalisto as a single star. He's the next Latino. He's that next Mexican superstar that they need to replace Rey Mysterio, because let's face it, Alberto Del Rio doesn't get the job done. So what can we expect from this match? High spots? Yes. Dangerous spots? Yes. People falling from ladders? Hell yes. Sin Cara going through a ladder? Yes. Sin Cara going through a ladder accidentally? Yes. We can expect to see all three members of the New Day get involved. We can expect the Usos to go crazy and perform some stupid move off the top of the ladders. It's gonna be, to borrow a phrase from good old JR, an absolute slobber knocker. And I'm looking forward to it, man. It should be incredible. It should be that don't take your eyes off the match because you'll miss something. Match of the night, you know, that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping they steal this show. I'm really excited about this one. Who do I think? New Day. Numbers advantage. It's a ladder match, there's no disqualifications. All three men can get involved. But of course, if the other two sides are to team up, there's four of them. 4 on 3 puts the weight on the side of the good guys. And like I say, any one of these three teams could realistically walk away with these belts. I'm pulling for New Day. It's not even like I'm pulling for them. Honestly, I'm actually pulling for the Lucha Dragons. But I'm expecting New Day. Either way, expect it to be the match of the night. Next on our agenda is the 8-man elimination tag team tables match as Team ECW go against the Wyatt family. Now we've had some interesting spots for this match so far. It started out with the Wyatts versus the Dudleys. They brought in Tommy Dreamer to his original theme song, Hell Yes. They brought back Rhino, which was awesome. So they've got their team of 4 versus the Wyatt family, one of which has got a new mask. Ooh, intriguing, Eric Rowan. What's this match here to do? It's here to serve the Wyatts. They need it, Bray especially. They need to go over in this one, and if Team ECW goes over as fan service, I will hang my head in shame like thus. Wyatt needs to go over, man. He's come over losses to Roman Reigns. He's come over losses to The Undertaker. He needs to get his ass back into this one. Alright? This one is to serve the Wyatt family. It's going to be cool. I mean, if anybody can go through a table, it's Tommy Dreamer. He's proved in the past he's amazing at putting himself through tables. Rhino and the Dudleys know how to do it as well. I think we will see a good spot. I think they're actually going to eliminate Strowman in this match, which is going to be the shocking one. Like, all 4 of them will team up to put Strowman through a table, which I think will be cool. But in the end of the day, at least Bray Wyatt, I'm expecting Luke Harper as well, or maybe even Eric Rowan. Either way, Bray Wyatt himself will survive. No two ways about that. That's all I've really got on this one, because it is a simple cookie cutter formula. The build has been pretty good. Not as spectacular as I would have hoped. The shockers have really come in Dreamer and not even so much Rhino. Rhino wasn't really that big a shock. Once they brought Dreamer back and we started speculating about a 4th man, it came down to RVD or Rhino. And considering Rhino's history in NXT, it was kind of a given. So, yeah, Bray Wyatt's going over. Simple as cookie cut formula. But it should be a hell of a match all the same. I mean, remember back to Bray Wyatt's match with Dean Ambrose last year. Bray can go hardcore and he can make it look good. Ridiculous, but good all the same. Then we have the Intercontinental Championship match between Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose. Now, this one has been a little underwhelming build-wise. Let me tell you why. The League of Nations stuff has taken over Dean Ambrose's attention. There was only 3 weeks to build this one anyway, and Kevin Owens was away for one of those weeks. Due to illness, not his fault. So they've not had a lot of time to build it, and the real kind of spot of the feud came with, you know, Ambrose. Do you want a snack? You know? Classic Ambrose. I love that moment. Of course, it's awesome. It's funny as hell. Dean Ambrose in all of his nonsensical brilliance. Love his attitude, his facial expressions when committing acts of stupidity. Does he need to be a little bit more serious? Nah, I don't think so. You compare Dean Ambrose to a classic Stone Cold Steve Austin. Austin had that SOB attitude about him, that tough, redneck attitude. Ambrose doesn't have that. He has more of an every guy kind of feel. Like, we're going down the bar, we're going to share a drink, we're going to have a merry old time. He's the sort of guy that would wear the hat at Christmas do, isn't he? On his way to having way too much and ended up face first in the gutter, but not before knocking out the biggest guy in the bar. That's Dean Ambrose. That's why we all kind of gravitate towards him. He's funny as hell and he's damn good in this ring. Kevin Owens, on the other hand, he's an everyman as well. He's the bigger guy that can move, you know, what we all aspire to be. People like me, you know, I'm a bigger guy. I look at Kevin Owens and go, he's a fucking inspiration. Because people like me aren't supposed to move like he does. So whatever happens, this match is going to be phenomenal because you are putting Dean Ambrose in the ring with Kevin Owens. As long as they're given the proper amount of time to tell their story, this one is going to be off the charts. I hope they don't put it on as the penultimate match because they're going to knock the main event out of the in water. Huh? Who do I expect to win? Oh, I don't know. I want Dean Ambrose to win it. But I'm expecting a League of Nations interference. Kevin Owens joins the league as the 5th man from Canada, and that helps him retain the championship. Basically, before I get to the main event, I've said it a lot now, I'm expecting a lot of interference in this show. Becky Lynch in the Divas title match, and the League of Nations in pretty much every other one. And that's what they need to do to build this stable, because they've built it out of mid-carders who are now supposed to be the top level main event talent, despite the fact that Barrett hasn't done anything useful since winning the King of the Ring, and Rusev hasn't done anything useful since losing to John Cena at WrestleMania. So, they really, really need to build this stable up, and the best way to do that, make them look dominant and heelish as all hell by interfering in every match where one of their guys is involved. Lest we forget, Barrett doesn't have anything to do at this pay-per-view so far. He doesn't have a match, so he can be all over the place, causing hell for everyone. Barrett needs to be built up as number 2 in this stable, because he's the only one that realistically could be world champion one day. No offense to Del Rio, whose time has passed, and Rusev, who's always going to have the language barrier. His accent is just really difficult to understand, it's not my fault. I'm from Europe, for Christ's sakes, I hear it all the time. Although, saying that, if Sheamus can get away with it, he's difficult to understand at all sometimes, so there you go. So with that said, let's go on to the main event. TLC, Roman Reigns versus Sheamus for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And we are so excited about this one, aren't we? We are phenomenally over the moon for Mr. Tater Tot versus Mr. 515. That has been this feud. Oh my god. Roman just needs to stop talking. What would make any feud starring Roman Reigns, the next face of the company, that much better? Stop talking. Roman is a great athlete. There's no two ways about that. That guy can go in the ring. He's fast, he's strong, and he's powerful. He's an agile mofo. But his promo work, and it's not through any fault of his own, mind. If Vince stopped scripting his damn promos, they'd be that much better. I know we're in a PG era, alright? So what they say on the mic has to be catered to. But let me point out something I've pointed out before. NXT is PG TV. And yet we have no problem from any of their promo work. Rarely, at least, anyway. Let Sheamus do the talking, let Roman do the walking. That's what this feud should have been based around. The badass Roman Reigns. We almost saw a glimpse of it post-Survivor Series, where Roman was just running roughshod over Sheamus. That was awesome. And then he went back to the cheesy promos. And this past Monday on Raw, they got the main event promo and they got a decent amount of time to talk, and there you go, they talked. Ended up in a massive brawl, which was great. But it took too long to get there. All this tater tot talk and get that stuff out the ring, Roman, because I'm a fighting Irishman that's scared of a ladder. If you're that scared of a weapon, why are you going into a TLC match with him, you know? It's frustrating because this is supposed to be the moneymaker feud. And yet I am so much more excited for the tag team match, for the Intercontinental Championship match. Because they're the workers that work well together. Sheamus, I want to get the monster push. Because they need a top level heel regardless of when Randy Orton or Seth Rollins returns. Seth was carrying the heel side of things on his own for months. He had no backup other than Kane or the Big Show, which of course is ridiculous. So pushing Sheamus into that position, having Barrett make sure Sheamus wins that match, works for everyone, because then we've got a great heel set going into the WrestleMania season. Which is looking so bleak right now, is WrestleMania. Considering it's supposed to be the biggest one ever, it's looking bleak as hell. Doesn't mean they won't pull through. By the time TLC is finished, we've usually got some inclination of who is going forward to WrestleMania, and at this point Roman Reigns seems to be the only bet, but against who? So my prediction for this one, Sheamus. Sheamus needs to go over Roman Reigns. The reception for Roman is just not good enough yet. having this whole underdog story started has undone all of the work they've been doing all year. He's not Daniel Bryan. For Christ's sakes, he is a 6'6", 260 pound militia gear wearing Samoan badass. He's not a 5'8" lumberjack. Alright. Let Roman be the next John Cena. Don't try and make him be the next Daniel Bryan. He's always going to be a polarizing figure simply because the crowd wants to hate him just because he's the corporate chosen boy. That is the world we live in today. Half the crowd will always boo Roman Reigns. Always. And it's too late for a heel turn for him now. Even still, half the crowd will only boo for him then anyway. I think, to be honest with you, I think the entire crowd would boo for him on a heel turn. Because those that want him to turn heel would boo that he's turned heel in such a forced manner. Internet wrestling community, man. Come on. Sheamus needs to go over in this one. Roman needs to look strong as he loses though. It needs to be an interference from the League of Nations. Boost the group, boost Sheamus, keep Roman on the level playing field. Simple as that. It's bound to be an interference heavy match because it's no disqualification. So, there are my predictions for TLC 2015. Does it look to be an awesome show? Maybe. It depends on how the lower card matches perform. If Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose does phenomenally well, great. That will help elevate the card. The triple threat tag team match could help elevate the card. The Divas Championship picture could be put back on track on this show, and it needs to be just in time for Mania. The world title is the write-off match. I watch it just simply to see how they keep the title on Sheamus. All in all, I always look forward to pay-per-views. I'm a WWE fan. I always look forward to their pay-per-views. Now that I'm only spending $9.99 a month to get them, I don't mind so much. Mainly because that $9.99 covers my NXT and original programming for the whole month. So I get the pay-per-view. It's kind of a boost. So, you know, there is that. But anyway, that's my TLC predictions. What have you got? Let me know in the comment section below if you agree with anything I've said. Don't forget to share, like this video, subscribe to my channel for a lot more WWE content. Follow me on Twitter at @TheRipperDannyB. And I shall see you all on Tuesday for not only the TLC review show, but the NXT TakeOver London prediction show. As always, my friends, have a good night.